All right, get ready for the spoiler-free review of Rise of Skywalker. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
It's a me,
Dario!
Woohoo! Let's go!
All right, so before I get into it, let me just give you a quick reminder that you can listen to the podcast in the iHeartRadio app, on iTunes, on SoundCloud, on Google Podcast, on Podcast Addict, pretty much everywhere as Super Dario World Podcast. You can also follow me on Instagram at Dario the Show or at Super Dario World. Any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me right there. Also follow me on Facebook. I will be updating everything there at Super Dario World. Now, all right, so for those of you who listen to the morning show, Eddie gave his review about the movie this morning, and I have to say right off the bat, I completely disagree with what he said. Well, not completely. And again, I have to say it one more time. This will be spoiler-free. It will be hard. It will be hard because there's, you know what? Let me just say that. Watch the movie quickly because there's a lot of spoilers in it. There's a lot of spoilers. There's a lot of things that could be ruined. So if you care about that stuff, watch the movie quickly. Otherwise, a-holes in the internet will ruin it for you. Just fair warning. Fair warning. Anyway, Eddie, I saw the movie with Eddie yesterday, and he did cry several times. It's weird how much he loves those freaking movies. And also, I talked to Eddie about it, and he agreed that when the break is over, you know, when the December break for the show is over, when we come back, after we've both seen it again, he will be joining me in the podcast, and we'll be talking, but that one, we'll talk about the movie with spoilers. So we will talk about everything. So I highly recommend that you watch it before then, because we will break everything down. Everything down. Anyway, so where was I? Yeah. So Eddie's claim was that this is the best Star Wars movie out there. Right? That was his claim. I disagree. Now, it was weird. After I saw the movie, I walked out of there, and there's a lot in it. There's a lot that's kind of shoehorned in there. There's a lot of information, and it's understandable. It had to pick up from a very awkward position, and the story was kind of a mess at that point. So they had to shoehorn a lot of stuff in there, and it's a lot. It's a lot. The movie is 2.5 hours long, but they ram a lot of information in there, and it was a little bit overwhelming. And so you walk out of there kind of like in a haze. You're trying to process all the things that happened and how you feel about it. Like, was it a good ending? Was it not? Is everything clear? Was it not? Stuff like that. So, like I said, I was pondering that thing that Eddie said. How do I feel about it? Overall, I think, and again, for those of you who don't know, when I watch a movie the first time, I try to watch it as a fan. And unless something is glaringly bad, I tend not to notice it that much. When on second viewing, that's when I noticed most of the mistakes and stuff like that. So there were a few mistakes on it. There's a massive plot hole in the movie. They also left one mystery, as far as I could tell, unanswered, which really upset me. I really wanted to know that particular mystery. So, loses points there. But overall, you know, I'd agree. I'd concede that it might be the best one of this trilogy. Maybe. Because it has, the problem is that it does have great moments. The movie has great moments in it. It's just a lot, and it goes by really quickly. They ram a lot of stuff in there, and it's understandable. They have to go through a lot of stuff. So I get it. It was just a lot. I feel like The Force Awakens has better rhythm to it. But the things in this one is actually, I get it. It is kind of cooler. So I'd concede that it's the best one of this trilogy. Not the best one in the whole saga. At least, I don't think so. I need to watch it again. So, as I was judging the movie, I try to keep something in mind, and that's that this is Star Wars. So, I was talking to Eddie about it, and his argument is like, it was perfect. I wouldn't change anything. It was great. Everything, I have no complaints for it. And so, I needed to keep one thing in mind, and that's this is Star Wars. So there's a lot of what I call Star Wars BS in there, which is understandable. Star Wars is not a sci-fi it's not a sci-fi franchise. It's actually closer to fantasy. They don't really care about the laws of physics or any of that stuff. They care about getting stuff done, and it gets done with almost magic. The Force it's practically magic. So it's there's a lot of what I call Star Wars BS in there. Like like Han, Luke, and Leia are standing in front of a ship shooting at people with hand blasters, and trained stormtroopers with rifles aren't hitting them, even though they actually have cover. So again, a lot of Star Wars BS in there. It's part of the franchise. It's built into the cake. Well, it's baked in the cake. I'm sorry. So I'd had to keep that in mind, and keeping them in mind, I concede it was probably the best one of the trilogy. JJ, overall, this is really hard. And I'm getting to spoilers and not getting into examples, but I'll try to do it. Overall, the big thing that I cared about is where do they go from The Last Jedi, right? That's the big thing, because it was left in such a crappy position. It just sucked. And honestly, the way that J.J. Abrams manages to make things work is almost masterful. It's brilliant. His way of handling that whole situation, honestly, kudos to you, J.J. Abrams. You're really good with beginning things. And so it was great. It was really, really well done. In fact, if they had ended The Last Jedi with the first Kylo Ren sequence in this movie, it would have been honest. I would have been super excited for the Rise of Skywalker. It would have been phenomenal. Well, not phenomenal. It still would have sucked, but it would have actually left you wondering, like expecting and wanting to know what the hell happens. The problem is that nobody really knew what the hell was going to happen in Rise of Skywalker. We had nothing to look forward to. So if they would have added that last sequence to The Last Jedi, it would have left you expecting something, and like kind of like in a what's it called, cliffhanger ending. It would have been great. It would have been great. So kudos to JJ. It was a great start. Now, my big issue with the movie is that there's a lot of stuff that's just shoehorned in there. And by shoehorn, I mean that it was forced in there. And it's understandable because, again, Last Jedi existed. The Last Jedi exists, and it kind of fucks a lot of stuff over. So there's a lot of things that feel forced. Like I said, The Force Awakens has better rhythm. The Force Awakens has better rhythm. This one, there's a lot of stuff that feels that they need to force in there. They need to jam it in there. And it's because a lot of the things that happened there, I think, were supposed to happen throughout 2 movies. Here, JJ only had a chance to do it in 1. So, dude got screwed here. Honestly, if he would have done the entire trilogy, it could have been, at least 3 times better. At least. Because there's a big, big pit right there in the middle that he had to claw his way out of and continue. So that's the big thing, the beginning. I think it was really well done. The other half is, how do they conclude the saga? Now, there's a lot of really heavy emotional moments. There's Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver. There's a lot of great acting moments there. I wish I could get into stuff about those two, because those are basically the most interesting characters in there. I have issues with Rey. I have issues with Kylo. I have issues with a lot of stuff, but I believe that they were overall handled well for the most part. And let's just see. So I always try to answer this question: was it worth your money? Definitely. And the reason why I think it was worth your money is because the movie's 100 times better than The Last Jedi, for starters. That's done and done. It's better than The Last Jedi. So if it's the last Star Wars movie you were gonna see, it's better to end the saga with this one than The Last Jedi. Like I said, 100 times better. 100 times better. The ending is satisfying enough. Now, I've talked about this a million times. Beginnings are hard, endings are hard, and you're never gonna please everybody. However, the ending for this one seemed, for the most part, logical, and I'm okay with it. It's a little heartbreaking because of what they did with some of the characters that I loved, but Star Wars has always been a tragedy, so I guess it's fair. Like, Luke is a very, very tragic character. I think I talked about that once, about, how his life pretty much sucked. I mean, his mom died at birth. His sister gets sent to be a princess somewhere, and this dude goes out to a farm in the middle of a desert, to be raised by his uncles. An uncle and aunt, then they get killed, and he has to leave that planet, and then his mentor gets killed, and then turns out that he's attracted to his twin sister. And then, actually, well, no, he finds a chick that he likes, and he actually kisses her and stuff. Then it turns out that his best friend actually gets her, and then it turns out that it's actually his sister. Like, his life has sucked, man. His life has sucked. And if you actually continue his story, he was charged with rebuilding the Jedi, and he failed at that. He was trusted with his nephew to actually make him a good person, and he failed at that. It's just his story. Dude's a tragic guy, all right? Luke's had a rough go of it, and so it's sad to see his story go in that direction. But again, I blame The Last Jedi for what they did to Luke more than this one. Here, it's fine. Like I said, it's bittersweet. The movie's very bittersweet because it's the ending of a saga, and I wanna break it down, but I can't. But if I have to say it, I think it's a good ending. It was fair. I would have done something. I would have added one thing that I thought would have made it perfect, but you know, what JJ did so far, there was a lot of Star Wars BS in it, but whatever, it's expected. It's a formula. At this point, it's a formula, and it's a good formula, and they gave us the formula, and the ending was good. It was satisfactory. So overall, I have a lot of issues with the movie. But if you put on the fanboy goggles, the Star Wars fanboy goggles, and you see it from the perspective of this dude's trying to save the mess up, the huge mess up from The Last Jedi. It's an okay movie. It's worth your money. Honestly, it's worth paying to see that movie just so that you get an ending that's way better than The Last Jedi. It will leave you with a way better taste in your mouth. And overall, like I said, I'm happy I saw it. You know, I'll leave it like that. I'm happy I saw it. I will see it again. And I want to break it down more with Eddie. I want to see it again because I just saw it as a fan, and as a fan, I walked away satisfied. I have issues with it as a filmmaker, as a storyteller. As a fan, I'm okay with it. So, there you go. Again, I recommend that you watch it quickly because there's a lot of spoilers. And people in the internet suck. So, watch it quickly and let me know what you think. Honestly, and again, I will be breaking it down with Eddie in a couple of weeks after we're back. I think we're back on the first week of January. So when the show's back, I'll have a special podcast. Eddie will join me and we'll break it down, and that one will have spoilers. So I highly recommend that you watch it even before then, because again, people will ruin it for you. People suck. So hopefully you enjoyed that. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram or at SuperDario_World. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you again tomorrow.